So responding to this video is mentally exhausting for me because I find Nom's Compendium to be a very, I don't know, pretentious person to listen to. Something about his snooty tone, and not only him being misinformative throughout his review, but this is going to be my last response to it. So yeah, let's go.
Ever played the remake, I'm gonna argue why this is actually a pretty substantial loss. Persona 3 handles the physical element very differently than the later games do. Instead of having one physical element, it's instead divided up into three types of physical damage: slash, strike, and pierce. Also, unlike P4 and 5, characters don't have innate access to all types of physical damage without the use of skills. However, since the main character is able to equip every type of weapon, you're able to cover any weak points in your composition. But choosing which weapon you want to use requires more thought than just attack type, since every weapon class varies in damage, accuracy, and stumble rates. Sure, you won't be dealing the most amount of damage with boxing gloves, but you'll be landing your attacks more often than normal. Stumbling isn't a problem with bows, but they have a lower than average accuracy. There's a lot of consideration that needs to go into the type of weapon you equip, and allows for every dungeon pickup to stay fresh and exciting.
Alright, so in this portion of the video is talking about how using different weapon types always made each dungeon encounter feel a lot more fresh and exciting. Not really. I feel like the main protagonist using other people's weapon types kind of made him lose his own identity. Like, I always just have Buddy use his regular sword, you know? I mean, it's already bad enough that he can summon, 12 personas? I feel like combat is already exciting enough as it is. And plus, like I said earlier, controlling the party is way better than letting AI do it.
Games that were well known for their high difficulty, and yes, this even includes the Persona games. Most of them. This mentality only started to change around the time when these games started to receive enhanced re-releases. These newer versions of the Persona games tend to make the games easier, whether that be through the introduction of new mechanics or through really poor rebalancing. Since games like Golden and Royal are treated as the standard by the community and Atlus themselves now, it's easy to forget just how brutal some of these games could get. Like, boot up vanilla Persona 4 on expert mode, and you'll be shocked to see how much harder enemies' attacks hit. Funnily enough, the only game to not suffer from this was Persona 3, since hard mode was a FES edition. The point is, these games becoming more and more laid-back experiences is a recent thing. While I was expecting...
Sounds like a skill issue there, bud. I played Persona 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, the base games, and they were never really that hard. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about, leveling up to win. The real actual challenge of Persona games, or at least the ones that aren't Persona 1 and 2, is trying to get all the social links without New Game Plus. But, I mean, come on now. Persona games were never that hard. I mean, for Christ's sakes, they all have, like, an easy mode. I remember playing Persona 2, played it on normal mode, and I was just so bored by how easy the game was. Like, I don't even think I had to, really switch up my strategy in that game. He also says that the games have gotten easier. I actually disagree, because in the original games, the enemy AI still wasn't that smart. You still had to level up to win. But now in the re-releases and whatnot, enemies have new attacks. Their AI is smarter. Yes, the main characters do have their own advantages as well, but that also applies for the enemies and boss fights too. Also, the newer games tend to have new extra hard mode, like merciless difficulty. But anyway, as for challenge, Persona games were never really meant to be that challenging combat-wise. I mean, these are clearly more casual friendly than SMT. If you want challenge, I would recommend playing something action-oriented, like, I don't know, Bloodborne or Dark Souls or Sekiro. Not a turn-based JRPG where you can literally just level up to win, even on the hardest difficulty. Or wait, does Nom's Compendium even know what Dark Souls is? I mean, I don't really think he does, since he probably just plays Raid Shadow Legends. Not to mention, but a lot of that quote-unquote challenge that came with SMT and Persona games was mostly based on RNG and not real actual skill or strategy. Like, regardless of which Persona or SMT game you play, so long as you know what strategy to use, you can pretty much just win just about every fight. Like, this isn't like Bloodborne or Sekiro or Dark Souls or Devil May Cry 3, where you actually have to use mechanics and actually, move around and whatnot and, dodge and black. No, this is turn-based combat, man.
Don't have to make up some scuffed rule set just to fix poor balancing. If you don't like it, don't use it, works well in theory, but why should I have to accommodate for poor design?
Again, Persona series has never really been that balanced. I mean, all you really gotta do, as I said before, is just level up to win. Like, these games really aren't that hard. But to debunk this point about, self-inflicted challenges, well, let's look at a game like, I don't know, Metal Gear Solid 3, or Metal Gear Solid 5, my bad. Well, actually, this applies for Metal Gear Solid 3 as well. But in these games, you can easily just win every encounter by just doing a headshot. You don't have to just use stealth or use other mechanics and whatnot. You can easily just play these games by just headshotting all the NPCs from a safe distance. Or heck, let's look at something like Ghost of Tsushima. In this game, you don't really gotta use the stealth mechanics. You can just go up to enemies and just slash them with swords. Or hey, if you want to, you can just stealth all the enemies and whatnot. So the thing is, pretty much any game can be exploited like that, you know? You inflict... How fun a game is all up to you, buddy. Like, if you want to purposely make the game less fun for you, you do you. But a lot of us would rather experiment with other mechanics, like using new features in Persona 3 Reload. Or instead of playing Metal Gear Solid like an action game, some of us, or a lot of us, you know, could actually use the stealth features and whatnot. Like, this isn't just a Persona problem. You can apply this problem to literally just about any game. Why switch styles in Yakuza 0 when I can just stick to the main brawler style that starts at the start of the game? Why play Dark Souls with swords and going up to enemies in one-on-one when I can just spam arrows and use magic from a safe distance? Oh, hey, Kingdom Hearts 2. Yeah, why bother, experimenting with magic and using special combos or new attacks when you can just literally beat the game mashing the freaking attack X button? I literally had a friend in high school who told me that when he was a kid, he was too dumb to notice all the mechanics that Kingdom Hearts 2 has to offer. So he beat the whole game just mashing the attack button. This is a true story. I really do hate when game critics use that whole, I don't gotta experiment with the mechanics logic because the game is too easy. When really, that's more on you, not the game itself. If you want to play the game in a certain wrong way, you go ahead and do it. But a lot of us would rather just experiment with the game and see what the game has to offer rather than just spamming the exact same strategy over and over again.
Fine, and I'll at least compliment it for attempting to add new features. Even so, just because one game has more mechanics than another, it doesn't guarantee that those systems have any meaningful depth. Mechanics on their own don't mean a whole lot when the design surrounding them isn't up to snuff. A good example of this is with the Devil May Cry games. The original DMC is comparatively simpler to something like the 2013 reboot. In the original game, Dante had access to only 2 main weapons, some skills, and a handful of firearms. Meanwhile, Dante over here has 5 main weapons that can be seamlessly woven into combos. He's got more unlockable skills than ever, and there's even this hook.
I like how Nam is targeting the unpopular DMC reboot, which is mostly universally disliked by fans. Why didn't he criticize Devil May Cry 3 or Devil May Cry 5? Those games are way more popular, and they basically do what the reboot does with, adding a lot more new mechanics and whatnot. That's pretty funny. It's almost like Nam is just a disingenuous critic or something like that. But what do you expect from a Raid Shadow Legends enjoyer? I truly do not understand his whining about Persona 3's Reload's unbalance when you can literally apply that same sort of logic to Persona 3 FES. Yeah, you can't control the characters, but if you know which party members to use and what weaknesses the enemies have, you can pretty much exploit Persona 3 FES too. Like, it's not that hard of a game. Persona games were never meant to be that hard. They're a lot more casual friendly than a lot of other turn-based games. Like it or not, that's just how it is.
Hell, I even ran out of time fighting the Priestess Shadow. That has never happened to me before. I'll admit, I was having a really good time during those first few months, partially because of the shadow.
Wow, you actually lost to one of the easiest boss fights in the game? Are we sure this guy is good at playing SMT? But overall, though, this complaint is basically him saying, oh, wow, the game is harder at the start and gets easier over time. Yeah, that's how a lot of, if not most JRPGs are, and that especially applies to the Persona games. Yeah, the more party members you get, the easier the games become because you get more options and more party members. This isn't really a new thing, and it's not, and it doesn't just apply to Persona 3 Reload. It applies to Persona 2, Persona 3, the original Persona 3, which wasn't that challenging to begin with, Persona 4, Persona 5, insert a Final Fantasy.
This way, none of these fights, even on hard mode, should ever be considered unfair.
I mean, you can't control the party member in FES, so I would say that game is pretty unfair. Not hard, mind you, because the game does have an easy mode, but still total bullcrap and, not as fun as Reload.
Is slamming into him with the speed and force of a bullet train. Man, what happened to the Reaper? Used to be scared shitless whenever I saw this guy. Now you can just casually walk circles around him, like he's not even there.
He conveniently didn't mention how the Reaper will now follow you throughout Tartarus on floors. See, in the original game, if the Reaper came along, all you had to just do was go upstairs. So, I'm just gonna Uno reverse this argument. Oh man, the Persona 3 FES Reaper sure is scary. Oh wait, never mind, I can just go up to the next floor to avoid him.
Than fight shadows. For a remake that attempts to address complaints fans had of the original, I'm surprised to see that there aren't many new additions or changes made.
So wait, you spent the whole game moaning and complaining about new mechanics, but now you want the game to have new mechanics? What is this review? Because it seems like he's trying so hard to downplay Persona 3 Reload's advantages. Thankfully, Persona 3 Reload not only sold more, but it has a way higher ratings and better feedback compared to Persona 3 FES. Way more people objectively like Persona 3 Reload more than FES. I'm happy about that. But really, man, what does he want here? Does he want the exact same experience, or does he want something new? If you want the exact same experience, go play Persona 3 FES in it. Like I pointed out earlier in my first video, where I showed off my PS3, the game isn't that hard to get. It's still easy to emulate and whatnot. This isn't Metal Gear Solid 4.
To me, I'm a huge fan of when video games try to use their mechanics and design to express their main messages.
Are we sure about that? I'm honestly really doubting that you are, because you promoted Raid Shadow Legends. Alright, I'm just gonna rant here. Are we really sure we can really count on Nam's compendiums for reviews and information when he's just a total sellout shill for games like Raid Shadow Legends? Personally, anytime a game critic has the audacity to recommend that game to me when they're about to trash talk another piece of art, you just lose all credibility, in my opinion. And one thing I really do like is that if Nam actually replies to this video or somehow sees it in the algorithm, if he replies to this video, he's going to have to defend Raid Shadow Legends. He's going to have to legitimately say something like Raid Shadow Legends is better than Persona 3 Reload. And I dare you to do it. I dare you to unironically say that Raid Shadow Legends is a better game than Persona 3 Reload. Do it. Really, go ahead and lose all your credibility. Not that you really had any to begin with. You sell out shell. A common defense for people that do these sort of sellout advertisements is that it's their job. It's their job. They gotta sell out to make money. Yeah, the same way a crack dealer has to sell crack in order to make money.
Movie. The actual environments have a dreary tone. The best example of this is Iwatodai Dorm.
Alright, so we're at the generic complaint where he says that the original game had a much more quote-unquote dreary tone. Oh boy, yeah, it really did feel dreary in Operation Babe Hunt, so dark and depressing. Watch out, Bloodborne. This Persona 3 is a true dreary game. I bring up Operation Babe Hunt because a lot of people love to say that the original game had a much more darker and more serious tone. I'm like, not really. Yeah, it was pretty dark, but it's not like it was all the way dark. The game was still a comedic anime slice of life game. Like it or not, that's what Persona 3 is. For crying out loud, it even has a generic hot springs cliche, Plus, Junpei is one of those anime perverts, which is also kind of ironic because he's voiced by Vic Mignogna, or however you pronounce it. The guy that has certain allegations on him. And that's where the tone of Persona 3 Reload is still really good. It still feels like one of the more darker Persona games. In fact, one of my new favorite details is that in a dorm during January, since the characters find out that the world is coming to an end within a month, the tone and dorm become a lot more bleak, you know, and it's a really cool detail. It went from being fairly dark and stylistic to a lot more bleak and dreadful. Also, when you go on to the city of Persona 3 Reload during January, it's a lot more depressing, you know, even the background music has become a lot more mournful and whatnot. It's hard to explain unless you play the game for yourself. So why am I being so passionate, and why do I come off as rude and mean-spirited in this video? Well, first of all, I'm not a big fan of overly long video game essays. Like, I feel like if you're going to give me an hour-long opinion piece, you better be very entertaining or funny. Otherwise, try to sum up your points within, 10 minutes? Like, it's not that hard. But also because Persona 3 FES and Persona 3 Portable were some of the first JRPGs I've ever played, not only did they have really good stories, but they made a huge impact on my life. They helped me get through hard times. So when Persona 3 finally got a proper remake, you know, I was happy. We can finally control the characters. We get better visuals. We get better attention to detail. I mean, look at the attention to detail right here. I just noticed this, but the shadows have freaking reflections on the floor. But overall, Persona 3 means a lot to me. You know, I consider it to be a piece of art, and I'm sorry if I come off as like a huge jerk, but I just can't really stand it when these pretentious YouTube critics make overly long, nitpicky video essays trying to basically dismiss anything good about a new piece of art. And what's even more annoying about these video game essays is that people who have no experience with the game itself because they didn't play it, they'll use that video game essay to actually validate their own biases and opinion and whatnot, even when they haven't played the game themselves. Alright, so the rest of his video is just him complimenting, you know, the new aspects of the game, you know, saying he likes the new voice actors overall. I mean, he doesn't say Persona 3 Reload is a bad game. I mean, he even said that he does enjoy it. And that's, you know, that's cool and whatever. But I don't know how to, I just don't really know how to describe it. I just strongly disagree with this man on certain points. And he might be saying something along the lines of, well, that's just his opinion. You should respect it. And I'm just going to say that this is also my opinion, so you also need to respect it by your own logic if you're going to be that person to make that kind of argument. Because I've seen people make it under his video. Overall, you know, if you like Persona 3 FES more, that's fine, that's cool. I prefer, I'll take Reload any day. A lot of the characters get fleshed out and have more screen time and development. Like, what else can I really say? I mean, just about everything is better in Persona 3 Reload, except maybe the music, and that's a very huge maybe. I can finally get his stupid video off my device. Like, I mainly made this video to just vent, you know, and just reply to certain parts of the review. I mean, I could have just done that in a comment, but the thing is, comments usually go ignored on their channels this big. I mean, Nam himself casually just ignores people who even agree with him or whatnot. I mean, he'll give out the occasional heart reaction. Nope, baked potato's done. That's the background. That's the noise in the background. It's my microwave. But man, I'm so glad I finally managed to just express my dislike towards this review. You know. It's in a way, this is sort of like a review of a review. And, yeah, the editing and camera quality, you know, I'm not perfect, but to be fair, this isn't my job. I make videos to basically vent or to inform or to occasionally, you know, do like a funny type of, or attempt to be kind of funny type of joke. I mean, this isn't my job. I'll never make YouTube my job because YouTube has a habit of screwing over people. And I don't want to become a sellout shell who recommends horrible online games. And yeah, that's about it. Now I can finally go back to reading my collection of books. I mean, right now I'm planning on reading The Boys. It's been interesting so far. The Boys comic. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, now I can finally work on doing a God of War video. I love God of War. The Greek games, the Norse duology. I think they're all really good, so I can't wait to finally start talking about those.